Hello everyone, my partner Ahlam and I, Andrea Enriquez, will be presenting today two articles that will discuss marketing practices and performance of small service firms and overcoming social media barriers for small businesses. I hope you enjoyed this presentation and we will be happy to answer any of your questions.
Hey guys, so our first article is the Marketing Practices and Performance of Small Service Firms, an examination in the tourism accommodation sector. Stick with us as we review some of the main points and some interesting revelations throughout this presentation. The three authors of this article have a somewhat similar experience with marketing in the tourism industry. Nicole Covello is a professor at the University of Auckland. Her research focuses on contemporary marketing practices, international entrepreneurship, and network dynamics. Heidi Winkelhofer is an associate professor at Nottingham University Business School with a focus on marketing, quantitative methods, international marketing, and relationship marketing. Both Heidi and Nicole have an abundance of publications in several journals. Our third author, Carla Hamilton, is a graduate of both University of Victoria and Calgary with a Bachelor of Commerce degree and an MBA. Different sectors of different industries have been working with various types of marketing among different sized firms. The authors of this article decided to come together and present a study of the practices and performances of 242 smaller sized firms. This article helps contrast how firms that differ in size may or may not differ in performance. The article itself refers to firms that are recognized as service organizations. The main previous studies that the article discusses show that the use of relationship marketing tools and relational efforts contribute positively to performance. However, this originates from the studies of larger firms with concentrated and/or repeat purchases. This forms a gap in most researches because smaller firms are the ones that dominate most economies. This study examines the marketing practices with a method that allows for dissection of both transactional and relational activities. It then investigates the association between different marketing practices and four types of performance: customer acquisition, customer retention, sales growth, and profitability. Tourism is a growth industry reported to directly account for 3.8% of the world's GDP and about 2.8% of the world's employment, according to World Travel and Tourism Council. The authors chose to focus on the tourism accommodation organizations. They assumed that these firms would provide beneficial contrast to other studies because of their nature. The accommodation sector consists of no membership or subscription plan. This means switching costs are low and customers purchase at their discretion. Moreover, the tourism accommodation sector is made up of both large and small firms, with majority as independent operators. Knowing the accommodation sector is a service firm, we should keep in mind that service firms differ from non-service firms because of what they offer: services instead of goods. The samples that they used were collected from Canadian provinces such as British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. The authors' research consisted of several issues. They could only use the result of 242 firms, which limited their research, regardless of the fact that they sent out about 1,000 surveys to different organizations. Also, some of the firms did not have designated marketing managers, meaning they had to elaborate further on who in a marketing position could reply with non-bias. Also, smaller firms have a lower ability to share financial and objective performance data. Other issues were that they did not have enough information about smaller firms because all the studies were based on larger firms. The authors were generous enough to come up with about 5 hypotheses and several assumptions. Hypothesis 1 states that transaction marketing is positively associated with the customer acquisition. Hypothesis 2A suggests that relational marketing practices are positively associated with customer acquisition. Hypothesis 2B suggests that relational marketing practices are positively associated with customer retention. Hypothesis 3 suggests that customer acquisition positively affects customer retention. Hypothesis 4A suggests that sales growth is positively influenced by customer acquisition. Hypothesis 4B suggests that sales growth is positively influenced by customer retention. Hypothesis 5 suggests that profitability is positively influenced by sales growth. Some of their assumptions were that firm size and market affect the implementation of individual marketing practices. Another one was that practices of database marketing, e-marketing, and network marketing did not affect either of those performance aspects. The purpose of the article is to look at marketing in the perspective of smaller firms. Most studies that refer to marketing techniques and performance are usually based off of larger firms. This article helps combine several studies of different views from different authors. This helps us understand previous outlooks and results versus more recent ones. They introduce several hypotheses and assumptions to allow the reader to grasp the idea that marketing techniques are not set in stone. Higher levels of transactional and interactional marketing help increase acquisition results, and a stronger emphasis on interactional marketing allows improvement in retention. The effects of the other relational practices such as database marketing, e-marketing, and network marketing on the different performance aspects are not as important. The impact of marketing practices on sales growth and profitability result in acquisition and retention. The trigger of profit is sales growth, which is altered by customer acquisition and not by retention. Our evaluation of the article was that the author's argument was logical, it was well organized and easy to read, and the terms were clearly identified. It had sufficient evidence for the arguments, and they did support the main points, and the article definitely helps us understand the subject further. Is just for your personal preference of understanding how the different types of marketing work in different dimensions and their results.
The second article that we will be discussing today is Overcoming Social Media Barriers for Small Businesses. It was published by the Small Enterprise Association of Australia and New Zealand in 2013. The author of this article is Vicky Schaefer from the University of the Sunshine Coast. This article discusses the barriers that limit the effective use of new technologies in small businesses. The main barriers are considered to be lack of skill, knowledge, time, and resources. The article shows one approach for overcoming barriers in which university students will assist small businesses to gain skills, and simultaneously students will have real-world experiences. In 2012, a survey conducted by Nielsen with 28,000 global consumers showed the results in which 70% explore social media once a month to hear about other experiences, 65% to learn about brands, products, and services, and 50% use social media to express concerns and complaints. With this result, it was found that social media facilitates the customer relationship and that also a good customer service is crucial for small businesses. The lack of knowledge and skills are barriers for small businesses, and these can be compounded by lack of financial capacity to invest in IT specialists. The majority of university students are familiar with social media, and they can put into practice the knowledge of technological tools in order to gain real-world experience in a business context. This paper shows a project where tourism-related businesses partner with undergraduate students to create and manage social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn for 7 weeks in the years of 2010 and 2011. According to the online surveys, 50% had never used or created social media because of lack of skills, 27% time, and 15% uncertainty. Also, respondents answered that the main barriers of becoming active in social media was 67% lack of skill, 55% lack of knowledge, 44% lack of time, 11% lack of resources. In this case, money. After the project, more than they have indicated that barriers were reduced. Students learned to use social media more effectively, and business operators became aware on how useful social media is for small businesses. After the project was conducted, there were positive and negative outcomes of the usage of social media. Respondents expressed that after this project, they could notice a better communication with customers, increased avenues for marketing, and access to new markets. There was just one negative aspect of using social media, and it was that it is time-consuming. The study shows that student-based projects can help reduce the barriers in the use of social media. Collaborative contribution can create better outcomes for businesses and students. There are many benefits of cooperative working relationships, such as being part for future trainings, create awareness for innovative ideas, develop new skills, and identify new markets. In conclusion, there is limited research on how small businesses can overcome the barriers, but the cooperation with students and small businesses is a successful approach to reduce ICT barriers. There are many benefits that come with it, and it gives students an opportunity of having real-world experiences and gaining more knowledge on the variation of technological tools. We concluded that the first article is more academic and longer, and the second one is more practical and easy to follow. The second article supports the idea that small and medium enterprises are essential for the economy. Both articles are focused on small businesses. Now, we have two questions for you. Do you agree social media is essential for small businesses? Explain your answer. Do you think there are more negative impacts in the use of social media for business purposes? Thank you so much for listening to this presentation. I hope to enjoy it. We will be glad to answer any of your questions.